Well, good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to welcome Nina Vithlani, the MD for MENA at Sectorlight. Sectorlight are, of course, going to be one of the panelists and co-sponsors of the Branded Residences Forum in Bangkok this month. And Nina, it's great to have you here with us.
Thank you, Riyan. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So clearly, the topic of discussion today is branded residences, and we'll be at the forum, which I know that everyone's really excited about being there. So tell me a little bit, first of all, about you and the work that you do, and tell me a bit about your experience of this booming industry that is branded residences.
Yeah, sure. So Sectorlight, we are a branding and creative agency. We're a global agency with a team of 28, headquartered out of London with a regional office here in Dubai, where I'm based. We specialize in luxury property. We're currently working on a lot of branded residences projects with the boom. And, we also work on, launching a lot of mixed use developments, master developments, hospitality, placemaking, that kind of thing. So it's a really exciting place to be in at the moment. And I think based out of the Middle East, it seems to be one of the most prominent markets globally within the branded residences space, as I'm sure, you're finding yourselves as well. So yeah, it's just a very dynamic, growing market with the increase in global high net worth individuals. I think it's set to boom further, and we're excited to be looking at opportunities further into the APAC region, and hence we're excited to be on board with the event.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be in Thailand, in Bangkok, which is of course sort of the epicenter of branded residences for the Asia Pacific region. Why do you think Thailand in particular has done so well, and where do you think are some of the exciting places in and around the Asia Pacific region?
Focusing on Asia, I think Thailand really stands out as a particular hot market. I think, there's around 55 new projects in the pipeline, 12,800 new units that are being launched. So it's definitely, a real growth hotspot. I believe the reason for that kind of growth within Thailand being the center of that is fundamentally down to the strong tourism backbone that Thailand has always attracted. It's obviously quite a relatively open market for foreign buyers as well. There's not many barriers to entry there. And also there is quite a nice shift, a growing sort of domestic appetite towards, investing in branded luxury. I think the real key for Thailand specifically is that they have managed to achieve they've managed to work with brands that have been integrated, not just superficially, but also feeling very authentic and enhanced with the overall experience. Looking ahead into other markets within the region, we're watching closely on Vietnam and Indonesia. You mentioned in your last podcast, Riyan, Vietnam has got, one of Asia's strongest pipelines of up and coming branded residences projects. So definitely one to watch out for. Both are maturing luxury markets with dynamic tourism sectors, and the developers we're seeing are becoming increasingly brand savvy, which is really refreshing to see. And then also Japan, I think, is another one to watch out for, particularly with lifestyle and wellness-led branded residences projects.
And those wellness and lifestyle branded projects, I mean, in general, this tends to be a luxury game, and one that attracts high net worth, ultra high net worth buyers. From your experience of bringing together marketing campaigns and for creating those kind of brand identities for these developments around the world, what is that type of buyer looking for in their branded residence?
Yeah. So, first of all, I think there's a massive growth, as I said earlier, in that buyer. So, Knight Frank, I think, projected around 28.5% increase in global ultra high net worth population between 2022 and 2027. So there's a massive 29% increase in that market. And they basically want more than just luxury. They want meaning. So they want customization, privacy, wellness integration is becoming increasingly important, and then seamless service as well. So these buyers expect thoughtful spaces now. So flexible layouts that adapt to multi-generational use. And also, with that trend towards more working from home, I think you mentioned that in your last podcast as well. That's definitely something that's evolving. Technology that enhances without intruding. And crucially, they're drawn to brands that reflect their identity and inspiration. So, a residences that tells a story, that signals a certain type of lifestyle, in a far more compelling way than just simply ticking a list of amenities. I think that, that's how this buyer has evolved, basically.
And that resonance plays into an emotional part of that buying decision, and that motivation for that particular project or destination. How does a firm like Sectorlight help that developer to create that emotional resonance with high net worth buyers and luxury buyers?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because it is all about the emotion. It's selling a lifestyle now, not just a floor plan. So, we're selling the promise of a certain way of life. We've found that immersive storytelling is key. Narratives that root the project in place, culture, and purpose. So a good example of that would be a project that we worked on in Montenegro called Porto Novi. And their marketing centered on forging a deeper emotional connection with the world's luxury elite. So rather than just showcasing property features and going down the traditional route, we anchored the campaign in the Adriatic spirit, its elegance, its legacy, and then understanding the glamour of the Riviera life. So it really was about selling the lifestyle, not the amenities or the floor plan. And I think the other part to the kind of, emotive storytelling is actually like exclusive experiences. So, with this particular audience, private previews, curated events, digital platforms that offer that sense of belonging even before they move in is important. So every touch point must feel personalized and elevated to be able to, build that emotional connection.
And Porto Novi, that's a one and only branded development. The hotel and villa residences there. When you're dealing with a really meaningful brand like One and Only, which is, one of my favorite brands, definitely in the sector, how do you safeguard that brand's DNA when it's being translated into a project identity or a project that has its own identity as well?
Yeah, and that's actually a really exciting part of our role, I think, is actually because we're dealing with the developers on one side and then obviously the brands on the other side. And we play that role of the custodians in between to make sure that we achieve, the objectives of both. So, maintaining a brand's essence is the most important thing with branded residences, because they must embody the essence of their parent brand whilst blending in the local cues. So we start by deep listening. So, immersion into the brand. Before we even start talking about aesthetics or messaging, we spend time like understanding the ethos of the brand, what it stands for, how it makes people feel, and what it can credibly deliver in a residential context. And then in the case of, projects such as the One and Only, I think another really good example, close to home here would be Raffles Residences in Red Sea. So, they essentially, we blended the legacy of like the Raffles kind of signature British etiquette with the tropical splendor of the Red Sea. And obviously that sort of made sure it was relevant to the region and translated that into a new destination, much as we did with the One and Only. And, at the same time, we have to be careful to weave in local cues. So things like colors, materials, rituals, to ensure that the place felt rooted from Saudi Arabia or Montenegro and not just transplanted from elsewhere. So it's just, I think, to answer your question, it's kind of the interesting part is actually ensuring that we still stay on brand, but making it relevant to that particular market.
And that identity needs to translate into real marketing assets to get that property sold. How do you help both the developer and the brands to translate the personality or the identity of, say, a hospitality brand into marketing assets?
So it's all about distilling the brand's essence, as I said earlier, and ensuring that that's distilled into a cohesive visual and verbal language. So again, another example of a project that we've worked on recently is Hide, which is an Accor Ennismore brand. We launched in Dubai Hills, which is one of the kind of very luxury high-end communities within Dubai. And the brand itself, the personality, the personality is all about being vibrant and quirky, that vibrant, quirky spirit with, a festival-inspired twist on luxury living. So we used bold design, edgy typography, and a music-led campaign and film, and all the assets to mirror their kind of festival of living ethos. And we considered every detail from the tone of voice to the brochure textures to ensure that the marketing reflected the in-resident experience as well. So I think it's just about making sure that personality gets nicely translated into all the marketing assets, remains on brand, but also remains relevant to that particular geography.
Yep. And that, you mentioned there Hyde as a lifestyle brand, and I know that Sectorlight works with both those traditional hotel brands, let's say, and the new lifestyle brands, which are many coming through the Ennismore stable through Accor. Is there a difference in how you translate and create assets for a lifestyle brand versus a traditional brand?
Yeah, so I think we have to balance the brand integrity with the cultural sensitivity. I think going into lifestyle or non-hospitality brands, we're now seeing obviously a lot of these brands outside of the traditional space coming in, from fashion houses to automotive to jewelry. And, in Dubai, we've obviously seen a massive boom in that. There's even a football club branded residences that's come up here. So these partnerships are incredibly exciting. There's instant brand recall and often very high a loyal fan base. A fashion label might bring a sense of artistry or couture into the details of their interior, whereas an automotive brand might, highlight innovation, precision, performance, and focus on those areas. So the challenge is ensuring that narrative moves away from just the novelty factor, and the story connects emotionally and practically as well. So, how does this brand enhance how someone lives? It's not just about the way it looks and the name and the label. It really requires disciplined storytelling, rich visualization, and often with this, non-hospitality branded residences category, there is quite a lot of education that needs to happen with a new buyer. Really interesting times, I think, with the non-hospitality brands that are coming up.
Do you have a preference, you personally, if you had to launch a traditional, very top tier luxury hotel brand or a non-hotel brand? Which, just talking as Nina, not as Sectorlight, which one would you prefer?
I would say always the hotel brands. I'm a bit traditional in that sense. I think, the hotel brands have been doing it for years. They've got lots of experience, and, they do it well. I think the non-hospitality brands do need to work a lot harder to kind of curate that entire experience. And yeah, I think that's always going to be, a challenge, but an interesting challenge that, where I guess branding agencies like ourselves need to work that little bit harder actually on the visualization and the storytelling.
So we're all super, super excited about this month and seeing each other in Bangkok. Of course, my company GBR and Sectorlight, we are avid followers of forums and branded residential conferences. We even run our own series together. This one in Bangkok, we're working with the Bench and with a number of fantastic co-sponsors around Accor and Marriott and C9. What are you looking forward to for this Branded Residences Forum in Asia?
Well, first of all, excited to, take part in the next chapter of our partnership with the Future of Branded Residences series. So we're excited to be part of those panel discussions and, to go into a new market with yourselves. But I'm looking forward to engaging with peers across Asia. So it's such a vibrant, diverse region. We've been spending a lot of time there recently. We've seen, a noticeable shift in consumer behavior. And I'm particularly interested in how different cultures interpret brand value and how the local developers are actually pushing the envelope on experience design. So from our base in the Middle East, I'm also keen to share insights on, cross-border buyers and the role of branding, brand building, not just to generate, higher sales premiums, but also long-term loyalty. So, it's also just a great, exciting space to be in at the moment. There's so much creativity, so much collaboration, and lots of ambition as well. So, yeah, we're super excited to be part of the event. And, yeah, I think we'll all, get great value from, those connections that we make.
Very much looking forward to it. And Nina, thank you so much for your time today, and look forward to seeing you in Bangkok really soon.
Thank you, Riyan. Likewise.